Okay, so we have this Canvas app that we wrote for French, and what we have is they have their salespeople. They want to be able to go in and create quotes or orders or opportunities and deal with them. But they also want to then be able to go back in and look at them. So if I just click on the number over here, it'll open up that in the app. But if I click on the little pencil icon, it will open it in the Canvas app and allow me to edit it. And when I do that, I need to do some things like lock the account and the contact. Behind the scenes, there's a quote that we're keeping track of, and then also all of the items that are already on that quote need to be there. Okay, so you think, oh, that's easy to do, right? Because Canvas apps have this integration component, but you can only integrate with one thing. So we could integrate with quotes, and it was working fine. They said, great, add orders and opportunities, and then errors and bugs all over the place. And Colby spent a lot of time looking into this. What you would normally do is something like if null or error and check to see if property exists or not, but that just wasn't quite working in the startup code. And I don't know why, but it caused all sorts of issues for us. So what we ended up doing is this here is now an iframe, and it's set up to take up the available space on the page, and then we just have it over here in our navigation to go to this product selector. And so what we need to do is to pass into the iframe information, so that we could then load it in the Canvas app. So if I bring up the iframe here, oh, and the other thing is if you go out and read on the web, there's all sorts of people saying, Microsoft, you need to provide a way for us to pass parameters into Canvas apps. And we even found a user voice saying that Microsoft needs to allow that, and it's not been picked up by Microsoft. It looks like they haven't been doing anything. So what we ended up doing, and I apologize for the small size on this, but our Canvas app, we go out and retrieve information about the Canvas app so that as we go from one lane to the other, because these are separate Canvas apps with separate IDs, we have to query for them. But then we're able to go in and set up the Canvas app ID, and then okay, and so we just pass in as you would normally expect into your parameters list here. And so I'm looking for specifically the record ID, if we're on a record ID, and the record type. Okay, so those are the ones that we're passing in, and we get those up here in kind of the normal way, getting the type name and then our ID and stripping off of the curly braces off of it. So we're just passing that in, and then in the Canvas app itself, which tell me I opened the wrong one, and yeah, so I don't have that. But if I go and open the Canvas app, then in my app on start, once this loads, if it loads, we can see where I'm able to pull those parameters out. And so that made it so that we were able to pass in and to say, what am I associated with? So okay, wait for everything to load. Okay, while we're waiting, anybody have any questions so far?
Do you know if with the custom page, are you able to pass in that kind of stuff, like the record ID and type?
So according to the documentation, no, but according to the documentation, this doesn't work either. So have not tried it with a custom page, but I would assume that it would work the same way.
The documentation is so poor.
Yeah.
It is so non-existent. It's like you have to do your own research. So I'm even surprised how you got this to work.
This was a lot of hours and just some blind luck, actually, because I ran across this param method. And it was documented, but it didn't really tell what it could do or anything. And then I started searching some other blog posts, and someone was talking about using this not in the on start. And that's the thing, is the app on start. The app will load, and then the app on I'm sorry, not the app on start, the model-driven form integration runs kind of asynchronous after the app on start. And so it was causing all sorts of problems. And that's where this model-driven form integration was giving us all sorts of headaches. But using the param method, you just look for that name that you passed in, and then you can do things, based on what that parameter was. If it's blank, all I need to do is say, does it say quote? Does it say sales order? Or does it say opportunity? Because then that lets me set up the other variables to go look up based on the ID, the opportunity that I'm, or the quote or the sales order that they clicked on. So, so it's just this param method and the name, and then you just compare it to a value. You could probably do other things with it. This got me what I needed, and I stopped looking around. But like I said, the documentation and everything I was reading was like, you can't pass anything into a Canvas app. But we found that if you put it on an iframe, and in the iframe you put this in the URL and then use the param, you can pull those out and you can act on them in the app on start.
Okay.
Very cool.
So so you basically, it's just a question mark and then all the query parameters in the URL, and then you access them on the start, right?
Yeah. So
okay.
And you could probably access some other places in the app because the params are always available.
Okay.
I started off with trying to read it because we need to set up and we need to lock down those drop downs, and we need to do some other stuff, as well as then know what page we're going to redirect to.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing it in the on start, but the params are available wherever.
Okay.
I think I would still probably pull them out in the on start and put them in a local variable.
And then access it that way.
And then access them that way, just because then it's
Okay.
only in one spot. And if
That's
you
actually
have to
better.
change the parameters, you don't have to go look everywhere.
Mhm.
Because there is no global search that I've been able to find in a Canvas app to go global search code. So
One last question and I'll be quiet.
okay,
Can
no,
we
that's fine.
put this in like JTP so we can look at it? Or I guess, yeah, is that possible? Like in one of the JTP environments?
This is specific to Earnest, and they've got a lot of customization and custom fields. So I don't think we could do
Yeah.
exactly the same thing. We might be able to come up with if somebody has a Canvas app that we could pass parameters into, I'd be more than happy to take something and just add it there so that there's a reference someplace that people could look at it. But yeah, without having some sort of a and even to try to do a write-up, I'm not sure that it would make a ton of sense, because you have to know what we're doing with the orders, the quotes, and the purpose behind this, for it to make sense why we're jumping through these hoops. Because as I've tried to explain to other people, they're like, well, why not just? And we went down the road of separate apps, and we were about to do that, where we were going to take this and break it into 3 or 4 apps, because they also have the ability to just click on new and start one without it being associated to anything. And that was looking like 4 apps that we're going to have to generate. And we're like, that sucks. So, okay. All right. With that, I will stop my presentation and yield my time to the next person.